So, are you all ready to hear this unbelievable growth story?
Yeah.
Who wants 968% growth? Boy, do I have so much to tell you today. So once upon a time, there was a small independent company that was competing against corporate giants. And I'm talking about companies like Amazon and CVS. How do you compete against big brands like that? Well, today I'm going to tell you how, along with some of my other leaders on the team. And I'm going to share with you how we've been able to accomplish this over the last decade. So, about 6 years ago, the founding CEO of BioPlus stood on this stage, and he actually shared the 2x growth story after using Rhythm for only 4 years. Today, I'm going to share what we've been able to do going beyond that in the last 10 years. So, being able to grow at 968% is all about taking risks. And his story starts off with a bold leader who was not scared of taking big risks to create opportunity. And this leader is Dr. Stephen Vogt. He is someone who has taken substantial risks. And as we know that when we're doing our annual or our quarterly planning and we're identifying those winning moves, just because you set out those winning moves doesn't mean that they're going to be winning moves, right? It's all about taking big risks. And as Clint Eastwood said, if you want a guarantee, buy a toaster. So I'm going to start off, I want to share this bold leader that really is the story behind BioPlus. I want to be able to share with you, actually have him share with you. I was talking to the Rhythm team and we were able to actually pull up his presentation from 2017, the first conference that Rhythm ever had. And I want to be able to share with you in his own words, his 2x story that's going to set the tone and the foundation for the 968 story.
And look at the sparkle in their eye and let them talk about what we did through this process that I'm going to talk about. You know, Jim Collins said a great company will grow 2 times the market rate. A good or an average company, 1 time. I don't know about you, I want to be great. And I think by coming to this conference and spending the money and taking away from the time of your business, all of you want to be great as well. So I'm going to challenge you on this to look at that with your business. It's incredible what's happening in medicine. But a little about us, we're nationwide, we have 4 centers. But we have a primary center in Central Florida where we use FedEx overnight, and we have clinical liaison folks around the country. We have all the accreditations, but I point you to the right side over there, the top 10. I'm in the land of giants. I'll point out some of the names to you. Walgreens is there, CVS Caremark, United, Humana, Aetna. They all have a specialty pharmacy, because this is the largest growing area of medicine now and into the future. And so we compete against those. And if you can see, we used to be in the category called all other until we did the 5 steps I'm going to talk to you about today. And now the good news is we're almost 1% of that market. It's a $100 billion market. So I tell my guys, the good news, we're almost a $1 billion company. The bad news, we're almost a $1 billion company. There's a lot, build a set of sales. Bill, what are you complaining about? There's a lot more market to go get. So it's incredibly going. If you look in the middle slide at the bottom, the growth rate, I'm going to refer back to this during it because you can see the hockey stick where it starts to take up. That's when we joined Rhythm Systems, and that is when we got our company aligned with our purpose and action and did these 5 steps. And you can see what happened. To show you the incredible growth that's happened, market rate, how we've grown. I'm really proud this year we made the top 1,000 of the Inc. 5,000 private growth companies. That was a bucket list thing for me. We're number 1 in healthcare, above $500 million. And if you strip all the cost out because these drugs are so expensive, just look to the right side and just look at patients. And you can see we've more than 2x the market. The bad news, we're almost a $1 billion company. The good news, we're almost a $1 billion company. So it's incredibly going. If you look in the middle slide at the bottom, the growth rate, I'm going to refer back to this during it because you can see the hockey stick where it starts to take up. That's when we joined Rhythm Systems, and that is when we got our company aligned with our purpose and action and did these 5 steps. And you can see what happened. To show you the incredible growth that's happened, I'm really proud this year we made the top 1,000 of the Inc. 5,000 private growth companies. That was a bucket list thing for me. We're number 1 in healthcare, above $500 million. with these giants out there who have a lot bigger budget and a lot more people out there. So something has gone on, and so I hope I've got your attention with what's happening with this. And you can talk about and think about, and I hope you'll never forget. I call it the hand illustration. Okay, this is about these 5 steps. Your little finger is your shared values of your company. Your 4th finger is your mission. Your longest and tallest finger, and I'm not going to show it by itself. When I first was practicing this, I went like this, and is your vision. This is the leading where you're taking your company. So this is your culture. This is your culture. Your thumb, your most important digit, it makes us so different, is your employee or you or that super sales guy. Normally, if we're going to go out, we put our fists like this and we say, let's go get them, team. That's not what works on this. You want that employee covered with that culture of a purpose-driven company. But one finger remains. That's your brand promise guarantee, your patented solution, and this is what your customer sees. I've got the one solution for your problem. It's not based on a personality, a super sales guy. It's based on a company that's purpose-driven, wrapped in that culture, and you can follow this one way to solve your problem. And you will grow 2 times. I will guarantee it, or I'll owe you a Kit Kat bar. Thank y'all very much. I'll see you in happy hour.
So one of the things that makes this video extra special is Dr. Stephen Vogt, or Dr. V as we called him, he actually retired in 2021, and unfortunately just a few weeks after he announced his retirement, said I wasn't gonna cry, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And just last week was 1 year since his passing. What a very remarkable leader. As the fractional CMO for BioPlus for the last few years, it's been a real honor to work beside him. And it's definitely an honor to share this story today. So this 968% story is all about risk. This is a story of risk. And I want to share another video with you because, as you all know, the leader of a company is extremely important, the CEO at the top, but the rest of the leadership team also can make or break the strategy and the execution of that. So I have a few of the leaders that have been instrumental in achieving that 968% growth that I want to have share with you some of the risks that the company's taken that have worked out, and maybe some that have not worked out so much. Because let's keep it real, not everything works out, even when you achieve 968% growth.
This is a funny question. Of course, we've had things that did not work out. We, at one point in time, decided that we could be our own best software company. And so we spent probably a year creating this software and trying to do what others had done better than us. And not just little add-on things that we could hook onto our system, but truly trying to create an entire pharmacy system. And after a while, I know it came down from the top because we had spent so much money doing this, and the labor time and the people's time that we were pulling off from working on the floor. And fortunately, somebody put a stop to that, and we quit trying to be a software company and realized that we are a specialty pharmacy and we need to focus on the main thing, which was getting the drugs to the patient, and that's what we did.
2016, we made a decision to get into the 340B space. We had never done it before. We had thought about it for years. And a funny story, I had to convince the rest of the executive management team that year to get into 340B because it was an idea that I had posted for competition with all the other ideas in the planning process that year in 2015. And I was shot down, so my idea didn't get on the top list of moves that we were going to make the following year. So I went back to the office that night and created a PowerPoint and made a presentation to the rest of the management team and convinced them that we needed to get into 340B because I was losing large accounts inside what we call internal hospital pharmacies that were becoming more and more prevalent, and they were taking away our Hep C business in huge chunks. So I was being very much impacted by not being in 340B. So anyway, long story short, we got into 340B, and it has now become, I think, close to 15% of our business, and is much more profitable than our traditional business. So it has grown. We've hired a team. I think we're approaching 15 or 20 people on that team now, and it has really made an impact here at the company. But it took a while, but it was a big risk, and one part of our story here at BioPlus, one that has worked out very well.
I wanted to mention one more risk that we took in the last 10 years that has proven successful, and that is building out or acquiring additional pharmacies nationally. In the last 10 years, we have built out 6 pharmacies that are today within the BioPlus network of pharmacies. And while this is a strategic move and well thought out, if not done correctly, this could be a very costly move for us. And I can say today that, these pharmacies have allowed us to gain additional contracts, has helped us with our pharma access, has increased our volume, and has allowed us to gain additional drug inventory throughout each pharmacy. And so, while the first pharmacy that was purchased in 2012 was just outside the 10 years, I wanted to add it as, building out 6 pharmacies in 10 years is certainly a milestone.
Some of the risk that organizations take, not all of them can pan out for you as you think about that. And we've looked at different therapeutic categories where we said we wanted to enter that category, and then we left it for a variety of reasons. We took a big step forward many years ago inside the infusion space, and just couldn't get comfortable in matching that together with the rest of our specialty pharmacy. However, lessons learned around that, we dipped our toe back in the infusion business in April of 2022, and we're seeing that grow quite a bit. So sometimes you try certain things as an organization and you learn lessons, and maybe the timing was wrong. But I think that's an example of where we took something that we tried, timing maybe wasn't right, tried it again, and now we're being successful with it.
So who's taking big risks? Anybody taking big risks to create opportunity? Awesome. So Dr. Vogt was a pharmacist by trade, but he also loved marketing. And I don't think I've ever worked with a leader in all of my years that understood the power of a brand promise like Dr. V. So many years ago, in working with the Rhythm team and defining what that brand promise was going to be, started off with he and a number of leaders in the organization actually having conversations with customers to really be able to find out what was the unmet need in the marketplace, where could they compete the most. And so it started off with fast and easy. We're in the specialty pharmacy business, and this is medical offices who are trying to make access to medication for their patients fast and easy. And at that time in the marketplace, the average was 12 days. You can imagine if you are an oncology patient and you have to wait 12 days to get your medication, how stressful that's going to be. So we made it a mission to try to figure out how could we make this faster and easier for both the providers that were referring those patients as well as for the patients to get on therapy. So it started off with fast and easy, and at the time, I think we were about 7 days ready for that. And the team went back and said, can we try to do it in 5? Can we just try to do it in 5 or 2 days? What could we do? And Dr. Elvin, another leader within the organization, said, we can do it in 2 hours. Of course, Dr. V at the time was like, I don't believe that, show me. But he proved it out. And so, like any good brand promise, it's anchored in a guarantee. That's going to be the differentiator, is not just words like fast and easy, because any competitor can say that they're fast and easy. But when you back that brand promise, but with a guarantee, it becomes a game changer in the marketplace. And this is one of those key rhythms of growth that have helped us compete significantly against those corporate giants that are too behemoth to actually deliver fast and easy. So we started off in this brand story of this 2-hour patient acceptance guarantee. That meant that by the time we got the paperwork, the referral, that we were going to know within 2 hours whether we would be able to fill that script or not. We expanded that over time to a 2-day ready to ship, meaning that we would be able to start scheduling medication shipments to patients within 2 days. Game changer in the industry. All of the competitors in the marketplace are trying to figure out how in the world are you able to do that. The third part of this brand promise or brand story is 2-click. So again, thinking about making this fast and easy for patients, we invested in technology and a digital engagement experience so that patients within 2 clicks would be able to order their refills, not just their first fill, but their ongoing medication therapy. And then in the last couple of years, we wrapped it up with what we call this Together promise. And it is that together we're working around the world as well as the US to be able to heal patients all over. And that with our 2-hour guarantee, we would also then donate $1 for every prescription that came in the door to be able to help someone in another country get access to life-changing medication. So we wrapped all of this together, and it became the Power of 2 brand story. And I cannot tell you how impactful that's been in the marketplace. The reputation of the company, the differentiation story in a very highly commoditized market has been a game changer. And again, I think even till this day, competitors are still scratching their head trying to figure out how in the world is BioPlus delivering on this brand promise. So this is one of those ways that we're doing it. Focus, another rhythm of growth that has been incredibly powerful. Like most of you, we eat, drink, sleep, and breathe rhythm, and I am not joking. It is embedded into the fabric of our culture. Every year we plan, and I'm sure you're like our organization where everybody is extremely busy. So to take a day or 2 days out of your schedule and have your entire leadership team tied up for strategic planning seems like it's impossible. But every year and every quarter we do it, non-negotiable. Every week we meet and we have a rhythm team, which is the senior leadership team, and we have a rhythm meeting where we talk about our rhythm. We talk about our key priorities for the quarter. We talk about our KPIs. We talk about our stucks. Every leader within the team, and there's about 30 of us, has to update their week in sync every week, and we do this religiously. I remember when I first started with the company in 2018, 2019, and Dr. V emailed me and said, Roxie, I don't see your week in sync this week. Where's your week in sync? And so I think all of us that have been new go, okay, well, I'm busy, I don't have time for that. But again, it's embedded into the culture. It's non-negotiable. It's something that all 30 of us leaders do consistently every week, sometimes even when you're on vacation. Every priority, every week, every quarter, we focus on our priorities. And we track every KPI in detail across all different functions of the business. And as you can see here, like this graphic, we work in unison like a choreographed band team like OSU. And I hope there are no Michigan fans here. But we put our competitors in the trash with our focus, just like OSU is doing here. So another rhythm of growth is the core customer. You're all familiar with the core customer. Healthcare is a little bit different where it's a multi-sided market. And what I mean by that is the end user is not the buyer, right? We traditionally don't go to patients and say, hey, let us dispense medication for you because they need a referral. But even if we get that referral, if that patient has a health insurance that we don't have a contract with, then we can't dispense that medication. So we actually have to have contracts with payers as well. But it doesn't stop there. We also have to have access to the drug. So there's a trifecta or quadruple fecta here that has to happen. We have to have access to the drug from pharma. We have to be part of the in-network contract from the payer. We have to get the referral from the provider. And then, of course, we need to deliver value in getting the medication to the patient fast and easy. So as we went through this process with Rhythm early on, and this is part of that 2X story Dr. V talked about, is that we recognized that the provider was our core customer, not the patient. Even though our mission is about the patient, the provider is our core customer. And so all resources are dedicated to driving business with this core customer. So later on, a few years later, we said, aha, we have another core customer. I don't know if that's cheating or not, diluting our focus, but we recognized that we actually had another core customer, and that was the patient. Doesn't mean that we didn't care about the patient before. We've always paid attention to the patient. Again, that's part of the core mission at BioPlus, is being able to enrich their lives. But we recognize there's actually more attention that we could provide to the patients and being able to nurture that relationship. And we really started looking at direct-to-consumer strategies instead of just B2B. And we recognized, this is when we rolled out that digital patient journey, because we recognized that if we made it fast and easy for patients to fill their medication, that would actually stay on therapy. They wouldn't miss doses, so it would help them with their care and their treatment. But also it would be able to help us with a monthly recurring revenue. Not money in the mailbox, but kind of like money in the mailbox, where patients are on therapy and they're refilling their medication, and we wanted to make sure that it was easy and convenient for them to keep filling their medication with us and not going somewhere else. This is super crazy, but we actually decided that, you know what, in the year 2022, that actually patients, consumers, we have a lot of choice in our healthcare, a lot more choice than we've ever realized we had before. And so it's not just the doctor that's influencing that referral or that prescription and who's supporting them or dispensing that medication, but we could actually go directly to patients and have them, make them aware that BioPlus exists, promote our 2-hour brand promise or our Power of 2 brand story, and see if we can't get them interested to then go back to their doctor and ask their doctor if BioPlus was right for them. And guess what? They did, and they are. And so it's been a whole new business line for us by expanding our core customer to targeting the patients and actually acquiring patient customers directly from the patient instead of just through the provider. And I hope there's no other people in our industry here, because none of our competitors are doing this yet. They haven't figured it out. And it's growing exponentially. We do this right now in oncology, and we do it in multiple sclerosis, and we're getting ready to expand it into other therapies. So another rhythm of growth. I'm sure you've heard the Wayne Gretzky quote, skate to where the puck is going, right? So for us, we followed the money in what we call a generic waterfall strategy. So as you imagine, as leaders, there are a number of different products or services that we can deliver, but some are going to be more profitable than others. And sometimes we often overlook paying attention to those details to make sure that we're actually generating the business that's going to have the most positive impact to the bottom line. So for us, we recognized that there were certain therapies that were actually more profitable than others. And there were certain types of medications that were more profitable than others. And this laser focus has been a game changer in us being able to reach 968% growth. Right now, 70% of our business comes from one core therapy. And that, huge, 70%. But what happens is we also support those other drugs and those other therapies, but the profitability that we gain from that core therapy helps us be able to help patients by being able to help them with financial assistance and being able to help support maybe drugs where lower margin is possible. So people. We all know that people make or break an organization, and one of the things that is the special sauce at BioPlus is the tenure or retention with the executive leadership team. Within the 5 executive leaders, those people have been here 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, and that's unheard of. There's not a whole lot of turnover. I mean, they've been around for a long time. So you know something's happening with the leadership, and something's happening with the culture that's got that kind of staying power. You just don't see that very often. Another rhythm of growth. And this quote here is actually really when we were achieving that 2x, before we even got to the 968% growth, the CFO of the company said, "I don't know how to be a CFO for $1 billion company." And Dr. Vogt said, "Well, you better learn." And I talked to her, when I was preparing for this presentation, and she says, "And now I got to figure out how to be a CFO for a multi-billion-dollar company." So, well, that's exciting. They're worst problems you could have, right? So another, and I'm sorry that I keep saying another game-changing rhythm of growth, but every single one of these have been game-changing rhythms of growth. So Dr. Vogt was consistent with reviewing. So not only did the leaders complete our weekend syncs religiously every week, but also every single Sunday afternoon, the CEO of the company reads every weekend sync for the leaders of the leadership team. So you can imagine as the company is growing bigger and you're going from 100 to 200 to 500 to 700 employees, how do you keep a pulse of what's happening in your organization? You read the weekend syncs. And so he said that it was the most consistent habit in his life, which is pretty profound. And it continues today. Which leads me to, a lot of times the founding CEO kind of thinks he's going to be there forever, loves what he does, and kind of overlooks the power of succession. And you just never know what's going to happen. You heard me share the story about Dr. V. He definitely planned to retire, but he planned to stick around for a lot longer. It was a very unexpected passing for him. But he really future-proofed the business. In 2018, he decided that he knew that he wanted to retire. And he brought in Mark Montgomery, who had already successfully built a specialty pharmacy and sold it. He was actually on his hiatus after all of that work. And he decided to join BioPlus as the president. And the plan was that he would be kind of under Dr. V's care for a couple of years, and they would transition into retirement. But what happened is the synergy between them two and the succession planning, it was like fireworks, and they started ideating all of these incredible winning moves and what could they actually do next within the organization. So Dr. V, instead of retiring, he stuck around for many more years later. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to let it go. But he really future-proofed the business. And this is really important because, again, we never know what's going to happen. So we might be thinking that we don't need to worry about succession planning until 10, 15 years from now, but we have no idea what's going to happen to us. And we don't want our businesses to go under. This BioPlus has skyrocketed. So as the transition between Dr. V and Mark has happened, we didn't stall our growth, we actually skyrocketed our growth. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. So, core values. Is it something that you just put on your wall, or is it something that you actually live by? At BioPlus, we live by the CART values. In 2020, we were actually acquired by CarePath, which was part of this growth plan. And what's interesting is CarePath came in and they wanted to change our core values from CART to CARE. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but we're talking one letter, right? We're not talking about drastically changing the core values. But the entire leadership team was like, no, we can't do that. Like, we're not CARE, although we're in healthcare, we're CART. And so even the core values are embedded, whether you are a frontline, new hire employee, or whether you've been there for 20 years, you know the CART values. And you can, we have a CART award that's issued, right? So incentives, recognition is all aligned. I remember Dr. Vogt, when we would have meetings, and someone would share a story and he would say, well, that sounds like CART to me. And so the language of the core values permeated throughout even just the day-to-day meetings that happened. And so it was really something that was caught and spread throughout the organization. So this is the last video that I want to share with you. But I wanted to also have a couple of leaders share what the CART values means to them so you can hear it in their own words. Now, the first person that's going to go on the screen, I'm going to just tell you right now, he's a little winded. He's in charge of compliance. So bear with me here. But what I think it does is I think it shows us an example of how even the director of compliance eats, sleeps, and drinks the CART values. So here we go.
Our company values CART, C-A-R-T. It's our mission, and it's what we do on a daily basis. CART stands for competence, accountability, respect, and trust. All of my colleagues are extremely capable people. They carry their own weight on a day-to-day basis, but we are certainly not afraid to depend upon each other and rely upon each other for requirements and requests outside of our particular subject matter expertise. So we've got a bunch of extremely competent people who know what they know and also know when they need to stretch out and ask someone else for their assistance. We also are very strong on the concept of accountability. We point the finger, it's at ourselves. We maintain responsibility and accountability for all things that we do, successes and failures. The successes are celebrated. The failures, or when we don't meet a particular goal or a task, we utilize them as learning experiences to be worked on and to be improved on for future attempts. It's not to to punish people or to penalize people. It's to, accountability is to make sure that we all understand that we each have a particular unique role at BioPlus. The third element of CART is respect. I work with a whole series of extremely competent, experienced professionals from a diverse area of backgrounds and experiences. They all bring many experiences and qualities and values to the table. We all respect each other for who we are, what we do, and how each of us is an asset to the entire BioPlus team. And the last element of CART is trust. Trust, to me, especially in the compliance area, is the glue that holds my department and the entire company together. I need to be able to rely on my colleagues and all of our staff when I ask for information, when I receive information about a particular issue or item. They need, alternatively, they need to rely upon me to make sure that the information, advice, guidance, whatever the situation is, coming from the compliance department from me directly is something that they can rely upon and move forward on. It's that non-written element that keeps us moving forward and that makes BioPlus truly the unique and very special specialty pharmacy that it has always been, and that I am sure will be in the future.
I have a story around our cart values. We hired a hotshot sales rep a few years ago who everyone thought would be just tremendous, came with a lot of connections, and we all thought this person was going to be dynamite out in the field. But unfortunately, during training, this person was disrespectful to my assistant and some of the trainers and some of the other department personnel. And so we let this person go on day 3 of employment. It was just too obvious that this person would not be effective and would not get along with our team. So that's how serious we take our cart values here. People are selected out very quickly, as my story shows.
So how do our cart values shape me as a person and also our company? I think that these are some of the most important things that the company has put into place. And I was part of the team when this was all being decided, and who we were as a company, what was our mission statement, what were our values, and so important. CART is competence, accountability, respect, and trust.
So how many of you can say that you have core values for your organization? Yeah? Okay. How many of you actually have it permeate throughout the culture of the organization? It's more than something that's in rhythm or hanging up on your wall. Yeah. How many of you, and maybe you don't have a chief compliance officer, but how many of you could ask anyone within your organization of what your core values are and describe what it means to them or the company, and they could do it? Very few. Yeah. Key rhythm of growth to get to the 968%. It's kind of one of those things that can seem a little bit intangible, not as important as the winning moves, not as important as the strategy, but I think that our team demonstrates that it actually has a lot more power and impact. We hire based on the core values, we fire based on the core values, we recognize and reward, and we live it. Which has led us to what you see here today. So in 2022, Elevance Health, which is the largest health plan in the United States, used to be known as Anthem. You might be more familiar with them, but hired McKinsey to help them figure out what was going to be their growth strategy going forward. And McKinsey came back and said, what you're missing is you need a specialty pharmacy. You need to find a specialty pharmacy to buy. So McKinsey was set out to find the best specialty pharmacy in the world for Elevance to buy. And guess what? They bought us. All of the rhythms of growth that I have talked about already have led us to this slide, have led us to this deep, you can imagine the analysis that McKinsey did to identify the best specialty pharmacy. But all of those rhythms of growth, all of those practices, all of those people that have led us to where we are today were influential in helping us be identified and have that reputation in the marketplace as the best specialty pharmacy. How did we get perceived to be the best specialty pharmacy against CVS and Walgreens, corporate giants that have had a lot more brand equity and much bigger pockets to be able to drive the growth in their organization? It really goes back to that power of 2, brand promise and guarantee. That's the foundation. So our BHAG. So as you can imagine, over the last 10 years that we've been using Rhythm, the BHAG has evolved. One of the things that I find that's so interesting is that we often, when we identify our BHAG, we really go all out. Like, we're not sandbagging it at all. But every single time, we actually have achieved our BHAG before that milestone. So our BHAG that we established a couple of years ago was to be the most connected specialty pharmacy in the world, or in the US. Most connected specialty pharmacy. And with Elevance acquiring us, where they touch 1 in 3 Americans in the United States, 44 million patients that they touch, we had to change our BHAG because we're already going to be the most connected specialty pharmacy. So really, I think it was within 2 years, we already achieved that big, hairy, audacious goal, and we had to go even beyond. And so now our BHAG is to actually be the largest specialty pharmacy in the United States. You can tell Walgreens and CVS, they actually know we're going after them. And we really are on track to do that. So not only to compete and win market share against corporate giants, but actually usurp them. If you're familiar with anything within the specialty pharmacy industry, you've always had the big four. You've had Walgreens, CVS, you've had Express Scripts, you've had Optum, and then the rest of the whole 700 or 1,000 specialty pharmacies has been a lot more of the independent SPs, right? We're kind of in a separate bucket. When Dr. V gave the 2X story, we still only had 1% of the market. Now we're close to 2% of the market. So that shows you the growth potential now that we've been acquired by Elevance. And who knows, we will probably be, and maybe in a couple of years I'll be presenting again and we'll be a $10 billion company or maybe a $20 billion company. Just wait. So this last rhythm of growth that I want to share with you, I think undergirds everything that I presented today, and this is the core purpose. So we have been guided by the North Star, and our core purpose is enriching lives through fast and easy access to specialty medications. That has not changed in 10 years. Actually, I don't think it's changed in decades. I think once it was established, we've stayed true to that North Star. And I can remember conversations in our rhythm meetings where we were evaluating which strategies and what things that we would do and not do. And Dr. V and sometimes even other leaders would always take us back to this core process. Well, I know we're saying that we want to make this change, but is that going to make it easier for us? Or is that going to make it easier for our patients? Well, it might have been making it easier for us, but we knew we were not going to be moving forward with that unless it was making it easier for our patients and our providers, because that was our core purpose and our driving mission of the organization. So I want to show you some of the details. How many of you have been using Rhythm for 3 years or more? 5 years or more? So you know that as you're using Rhythm, the longer you're using it, you start using it better. You start using it more. You start filling in more of the blanks. So this I want to just kind of take you through. So I literally just copied and pasted, going back into 2013, 2014, 2015, copy and pasting what was our main thing or our theme for the year, and then how are we going to define success. So you can see here that in 2013, our main thing was we wanted to break records by overcoming barriers. And we were at 11,295 dispenses and had a very successful business. We were actually already a couple of decades, well, not a couple of decades, but at least a decade into the business, 11,000 dispenses. And at the time, we were pretty excited about that. But wait. So in 2014, our main thing was we wanted to fill the funnel, and that helped us grow from 11,000 to 29,000. More than doubled our business. 2015, all in. And when I say themes, this is also like our core values. We don't just put a theme with our annual planning and rhythm and then like revisit it the next year when we're doing our next one to go, hey, what were we last year? Like it gets permeated throughout the year within the organization. Dr. V would always remind us, we're going all in, right? We're going beyond. It was again part of the language in all of our communications with one another. So we reached 57,000. Pretty exciting, getting bigger. It's happening. We're getting closer to that 968. 2016, we're going to go big, bold, and beyond. And man, that helped us reach 73,000 dispenses. 2017, loyalty through excellence. So you can also kind of see some patterns and some themes of how the focus changed. So now we're filling the funnel, but now we've had success with filling the funnel. So now we need to like redirect our focus to our main thing on the people and really creating that excellence and that engagement. And you can see that we really didn't grow too much between 16 and 17, right? 73 and 78. But look at between 2017 and 2018, another big pop between 78 and 86. But our biggest growth has been between 2018 and 2019 when we jumped from 86,000 dispenses to 125,000. And our theme was going full throttle and liftoff. And boy, did we. All of this building into being known in the future as the best specialty pharmacy in the world. 2020, Beyond Together, 175,000 dispenses. Getting closer to that 968. And then 2021, 207,000 dispenses. Lots of growth. 2022 is the year of the employee. So again, kind of a couple of years focuses on sales and growth. And then we go, wait a minute, the employee, and we got that mastered, and we go, okay, sales and growth, because our headcount's growing too, right? So we got to make sure that we're bringing those team members along in this growth journey, making sure that they're engaged, making sure that they're satisfied, so they're continuing to deliver on that brand promise as we grow and get more customers. And then 2022, 264,000, oh, my glasses on, 264,000, from 11,000 dispenses to 264,000 dispenses. And who knows where we'll end this year, because the sky's the limit with this team. Ironically, or actually it was planned, bought by Elevance Health. And so our theme for this year is Elevate You. We started off, it was going to be Year of the Employee 2.0, but then marketing got involved. And it became Elevate You. And so now it's a second year of focusing on our employees, which is also critical because we did it last year, but we needed to make sure that we were doing that focus, because now that we're part of Elevance and we are going to experience exponential growth, we are hiring over 1,000 employees this year to support that growth. And we need to make sure that through the transition of this acquisition that we're maintaining focus on delivering satisfaction and value and engagement to our employees, so that way we are can be successful with this growth opportunity that's before us. So that is the 968%. I hope that you have I hope that you've been inspired today. I hope that you see yourself in this story and what's possible, and that you are here in the near future to tell your own tale, your own story of 968% growth in 10 years, because we're proof that it's possible. Thank you.